कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna. We have Her Grace Devaki Mataji here. She is a disciple of His Holiness Niranjan Swami Maharaj. She is a traveling preacher, going around various places in the world, sharing her experiences and the wisdom, and inspiring people to practice the bhakti, the Krishna consciousness, which we are in, more practically and with relevant examples. Mataji's class, I attended so far 3 classes, so they are very practical. Philosophy simplified in a practical format. So that's what mostly we require. We all want to hear from people who have experience, seeing many places, sharing their experience and coming up with that kind of wisdom is very rare. So that's the benefit we get. And she also served on the GBC Committee for Devotee Care, because devotee care is an essential part of our Sangha, any temple. And she conducts the holy name retreats around the world. And Mataji actually published 6 books. You can see them. Each of them is based on a particular topic. And Mataji is actually covering a couple of topics while in this visit. So you can, these are not very fat books, they're very thin books with everything packed wisdom into that. So Mataji will talk about those books as at the end of the class. So with that, let's welcome Her Grace Devaki Mataji. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. And today's topic is the part 2 of the false ego, our constant companion and troublemaker. Right? So yesterday was part 1. Those who didn't or not here, you can go and watch on our YouTube channel, Vedic Culture Center. But today is the part 2. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Om Agyantamandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshun Meditam Dana Tasmai Shri Gave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manupistam Stabhidamina Bhuttale Swayam Upakaramayam Danati Svavarantikam Namam Vishnupada Kashabista Bhuttale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Govani Pachayane Nivashisha Shunyavari Pasatara Satarine Vanshakapa Dvivasha Kripa Sinuevacha Padittanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shri Vasari Go Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so welcome to our session number 2 on the topic of false ego, our constant companion and troublemaker. As I mentioned yesterday, the full seminar is actually 10 to 12 hours. So we are having 2 times 1 hour, which is just a tiny little snippet, a little insight into the full topic. So, and to refresh our memory, yesterday we were introducing the topic of false ego. What is it? It basically means we are thinking ourselves to be something which we are not, and we are accepting all these designations, these roles we are having, we are identifying with them. And why do we identify with them? Because they give us some sense of importance, and we are attached to that gratification of feeling important, of being somebody. And yeah, we also had a look at this verse in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna gives us 2 options of acting, right? If we work in consciousness of Krishna, meaning in the mood of humble servant, that solves all the problems actually. We were going through examples and all that. But then if we act in false ego, not hearing Krishna, sooner or later we will be lost. And from that verse we can also understand there is 2 motivating forces, right? The ambitious false ego motivating force, I want to become this, that, and the other thing. And then in Vaishnava life, the motivating force is, I am servant. All I want to do is serve. And especially in regards to preaching, or actually any humble contribution we want to make to Prabhupada's mission, we do need some little empowerment. And that we only receive if we have this mood of selflessly sacrificing ourselves in service. But for this ambitiousness, it actually poisons all our endeavors, you know. Yes. Yes. It's interesting to understand that the best idea, we may have the best idea, but if it is presented with ambitiousness and false ego, poisons everything. Yeah. So good to understand. Also, let me add a few little things before we go to the actual topic of the session. False ego has two main, it has so many ways of affecting us, but there are two main ways. The more common way is that we think ourselves so unique and special and extraordinary, and we think we are the big person and so on. But then there's also another effect. When we get all insecure and mental and we have complexes. Interestingly, this is also an effect of the false ego that we often don't realize, Yes. So, and that comes about because our false ego wants us to look really good. But according to our capacities and karma, if you like, we can't live up to the false ego's demands. And then we get all insecure and, have these minority complexes, and we get all overly self-conscious about things. So this is also an effect of the false ego, because we can't live up to the false ego's demands of looking really good and cool and all that. We can, for example, we can look at an example of daily life. Let's say we would love to be a good singer, but because of our inability to sing so well, we lack musical abilities, so we're not that great, So then we can get all insecure because, everybody else is such a good singer, I also want, but somehow I can't, and what is everybody thinking of me, and so on, So that's also an effect of false ego. But if we are free of the effects of false ego, then we understand that Krishna actually doesn't accept the external offering, but he accepts the love and devotion. So we may not be such a fantastic singer, but if we sing with devotion, Krishna may accept that more than, the singing of a person who has such musical talents and maybe becomes proud about it, So once we understand that Krishna is not so impressed with the external offering, he looks at the love and devotion. So then we don't worry so much, how great our singing is. We simply have that mood, okay, Krishna, please accept it. Okay, dear devotees, please, this is all I can do. So please accept my humble efforts of serving you all. And then we will not be all mental and insecure and have complexes and all that, Yeah, so good to understand, Yeah, and also, maybe we'll leave it at that and we start to our main topic because we don't have so much time. So let me begin by establishing that to dissolve the false ego, there is two main tracks how we move forward. So one of them is the chanting of the holy name. The other day we had a session on the chanting. There is a deep secret to the chanting, very often we take the chanting so lightly and cheaply and just blabber something down and so on, just externally finishing the rounds. But that kind of chanting is not doing much in regards to the false ego. So the chanting should be performed, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is expressing this. He says, chanting without longing to serve is useless. So when we chant longing to serve, all I want to do is serve, serve, serve. Very logical. Sooner or later the moment will come when we get the point, I am servant. Right? Very simple, actually. Yeah. So chanting the holy name, longing to serve. I mean, on the holy name retreats I give there, I have a one-day discussion on that. So here I'm just giving you the essence because we don't have the time. But yeah, so only that kind of chanting where we fill our heart with longing to serve, that scrubs the heart and frees us from all these designations of being the big controller and enjoyer and so special and unique and all that. So then that kind of chanting establishes us in dasya, in servant. But if we don't do that, and usually we don't, we just wander around and so that will not dissolve our false ego at all. No. It can even feed and water those desires we have to be a big and prominent and important person. Yes. So the chanting feeds whatever we are cultivating there in the heart. So we have to be very careful. So the chanting is one track. And then the second track is Vaishnava etiquette and culture. That's why Krishna gives us Vaishnava etiquette and culture, to help us become Trinada Pisunichena. Yes, more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree. That if we were spontaneously on that level, then we would not need Vaishnava etiquette and culture. But because we are not there, that's why we so urgently need all these different aspects of Vaishnava etiquette and culture. So today, I would like to introduce one aspect of Vaishnava etiquette and culture, which, again, unfortunately, it is almost unknown to us, especially in the Western world, Yes. So I'm sure we all have heard about the 4 animal propensities: eating, sleeping, mating, defending. So we all talk, or we hear a lot about eating, sleeping, mating, that this should be kept to a minimum. But we don't hear so much about defending, right? Nobody talks about that. Yeah. So the Vaishnava etiquette is that a devotee should not defend him or herself. Because if we defend, what do we defend? The false ego, nothing else, right? Yes. Yeah. So we should not defend ourselves, but if we see another person badly treated, then we should step in and defend. And if everybody would follow this rule of Vaishnava etiquette, then there would not even be any need to defend ourselves, right? Because surely somebody else would defend us, right? But unfortunately, we tend to do the opposite of what we should be doing. We are very good in defending ourselves. Oh yes, every day. We find excuses, we justify ourselves, we blame others, we blame the situations, you know, the external situations, and like that. We answer back, we want to be right. This is all different defense mechanisms to protect and defend the false ego. Yeah. And we are so trapped in these patterns of behaviors, you know, and then very difficult to actually subdue and dissolve the false ego. Yeah. So this is one of the main aspects of Vaishnava etiquette in regards to the false ego. There is a nice statement in this regard where Prabhupada explains this. This is in the purport to 1st Canto, 18th chapter, verse 48. There Prabhupada says, as such, the devotees are never inclined to counteract personal defamation, curses, negligence, etc. As far as such things are concerned, in personal affairs, the devotees do not care for them. But in the case of their being performed against the Lord and his devotees, then the devotees take very strong action. You know, so that's the rule of Vaishnava etiquette. You know. Yes, so this defense mechanism is so strong, so strong. You know, the false ego is pushing the tongue to, you know, defend, but, no, it wasn't like this, and so on. It was not me, it was him. Oh, it's nothing wrong with me, it's all the external situation, and so on. It's so strong, we can hardly even control it, you know, yes. And we can just imagine. Let us think of the situation. Let's say our guru chastises us for something which we did not do. Wow, that would be a challenge for the false ego. You imagine you get chastised for something you didn't even do. So what's the right reaction? What are we meant to do? We should tolerate, yes. We should think, okay, I've been doing so many other things wrong and I didn't get chastised. So now let me accept that chastisement just to subdue my false ego. Yes. And again, you know, surely if we follow the Vaishnava etiquette, then somebody else would say, oh, actually, by the way, Maharaj, it was not like this. Somebody else did this and that, and so on, right? But we ourselves, we should not defend. And this is a challenge, you know. You imagine. False ego will whisper in our ear, what is he thinking now? I didn't even do this. This is unfair. False ego crying for justice, you know. Oh, he should know. Yeah, that's how the false ego pushes, you know. I'm sure you may have heard of Hari Sori Prabhu, right? Yeah, he was traveling a lot with Prabhupada. I know him very well because I joined in Australia when he was there and so on. So whenever I put some Prabhupada stories in my books, I usually ask him, or just to make sure I got the story right, you know. And so when I put together the False Ego book, I asked him, do you have a story with Prabhupada where you defend it? And he wrote me this funny story, which I included in the book. The situation was that Prabhupada asked him, give me the red folder from the Almirah, the cupboard. And Hari Soy Prabhu says, Prabhupada, there is no red folder. I can't see one. And Hari Soy and Prabhupada repeats, give me the red folder. And Hari Soy says, Prabhupada, I can only see a pink one. Do you mean the pink one? Prabhupada repeats, give me the red folder. So then Hari Soy Prabhu takes the folder which he thinks is to be pink, and he gives it to Prabhupada and he says, Prabhupada, it's pink. So in other words, he's trying to say to his guru, Prabhupada, I am right, it's pink, you are wrong, it's not red, you know. And Prabhupada was chastising him, blasting him. You know, now you have become very expert in defending yourself towards your spiritual master. And he gave him a whole 10-minute lecture there, you know. And Hari Soy Prabhu shares how good it actually felt to be put back in a humble position. And he was just getting a little carried away there. Yeah, so I mean, to behave like that towards Guru, that is pretty inappropriate, you know. Yes. Yeah, but not only towards seniors in Guru, but even towards juniors. Better not to defend. Yes. I mean, there's also a pretty interesting story that's in Shamasundar's book, Chasing Ranas for the Swami, you know. Was at the deity installation in London. So there was all kinds of things going not the way they should have been going. And Prabhupada was a little heavy and, you know, trying to get things coordinated. And then one young bhakta came up to Prabhupada and said, Swamiji, just chant Hare Krishna. And that's what Prabhupada did. He just took his beads, sat down and chanted. He didn't take offense. He didn't get, you know, on his case or anything, but he just thought, okay, let me chant Hare Krishna. And he just let things go the way they were going, you know. Yeah, so pretty powerful example, you know. Yes. So, of course, now this topic of not defending, this connects us with the topic of tolerance, right? Yeah. Tolerance, we can say, is one of the main criteria to actually measure a devotee's spiritual strength and advancement, and how tolerant we can be. We just had Nrsimha Chaturasi. So Prahlad Maharaj is the embodiment, the personification of tolerance. Haridas Thakur and Krishna Lila and Gaura Lila. So yeah, tolerance means, because the main element that objects to tolerating is the false ego. So if a person actually can be tolerant, it means the false ego is a little subdued and dissolved, and that is a sign for spiritual advancement. Yeah. Yes. So now, interestingly, Bhagavad Gita 269, Krishna says, and I'm paraphrasing, what is day to the common person is night to the introspective sage, and what is day to a saintly person is night to everyone else. So it basically means the worldview, the approach to things, are as different as day is from night, for a spiritualist, for a materialist. This is a really important thing to keep in the back of our minds, because it basically means what is success in material life is most likely what? Failure, an obstacle, a hindrance on the path of bhakti, right? Yes. And what is success on the path of bhakti is seen as what? With mundane eyes. Being a loser. Yes, it's seen as weakness. Right? Yes. Yes. So this day-night principle accompanies us throughout all our different aspects of life. And we better clearly understand this, that all these things happening outside there, which are really modern and cool and progressive, most likely they create an obstacle on the path of bhakti. So we have to be very careful what we invite into our life, yes, because, the worldviews of a materialist, spiritualist, they're so different as day is from night, Success in material life is sense gratification is the top. Out of all sense gratification, sex life is the best. So, and in bhakti, we try and minimize sense gratification. We want to get a higher taste. It's completely opposite, 180 degrees. And this topic of tolerance is a very good example for this, because, with spiritual vision, tolerance is really something to strive for, whereas for a materialist, tolerance is weakness. What? You tolerate that? Gee, I wouldn't want to tolerate that. Forget it. Who am I to tolerate? I walk out, I get divorced, or whatever. Yeah. So very, very different approaches, Yes. Yeah, so let me share a couple of things in regards to tolerance. There's also a few nice statements. Actually, we read that verse, the purport to 1:1848, where Prabhupada describes the Vaishnava etiquette. So the actual verse to that purport is as follows. The devotees of the Lord are so forbearing, meaning another word for tolerant, that even though they are defamed, cheated, cursed, disturbed, neglected, or even killed, they are never inclined to avenge themselves. Wow, this is a very high level of tolerance. Yes. Yeah. So, being defamed, we are all so attached to our fame, what people are thinking of us, yes, our reputation. So if that is somehow damaged, especially unfairly, this is a challenge to the false ego. Whenever we think, what will everybody think of us now? False ego has us in its grips. Yes. Or when we are cheated, also very difficult to tolerate for the false ego. False ego is crying for justice, for fairness, and so on. Or also when we are neglected, or when we are insulted, Yes, there's also a good statement in the 11th canto. Tolerance means to patiently endure unhappiness, such as that provoked by the insults or negligence of others. Yes, to patiently endure such kind of unhappiness. You know? Yes. Yeah, so, and I mean, especially family life gives a lot of opportunity to become tolerant, right? Often we emphasize tolerance for the wife, but the husbands also have to be tolerant. You know, yes, it doesn't mean they can scream around and push everybody around or whatever. But no, both have to cultivate tolerance, you know. And of course, when we talk about tolerance, let us also understand that abuse can never be justified in the name of tolerance. Right? Yeah, just to make that clear. That if there is some abusive situation, no matter what kind of abuse it may be, physically, emotionally, sexually, whatever, we cannot say, oh, you should tolerate, it's your karma, or something. No. There's some action has to be taken. Also, because we want to protect the offender from committing Vaishnava aparat. Right? Yes. Because the person committing the Vaishnava aparat, they get a reaction. You know? Yes. So that needs to get some attention. You know, just to be clear that we don't misunderstand things. You know? Yes. Yes. So, but very often people say, well, when I tolerate, then all this negativity builds up in me, right? And yes, I get all sick or I explode. I've had people saying to me, well, this tolerance, it doesn't work for me. I tried it, it doesn't work for me. So now we have to understand there is a difference between tolerance and simply suppressing. What we usually think to be tolerance is actually not tolerance. It's simply suppressing things. We're pushing down the emotions because we think tolerance is simply shutting up and not saying anything. But that's just the external part. Unless we do some internal work, there is no tolerance there. It's simply suppressing. And if we suppress, then the false ego continues internally, making its demands, protesting, rebelling. Oh, it's not fair. How can they treat me like this? And, you know. Yeah, so that cannot be called tolerance. That's suppressing. And suppressing things never offers a solution. Doesn't matter what we suppress. Suppressing things is not purifying, you know, even material desires, whatever. No, just to suppress, then they pop up in other ways, right? Yeah. So suppressing is not the solution. So now let's have a look what actually is true tolerance. So to develop true tolerance, we need two tools. Tool number one is that we have this mood, actually, I'm such a rascal, I deserve much worse. But Krishna is so kind, he only gives me one drop of what I really deserve. Right? Yes. I must have mistreated this person in this previously in this life or in last life. So now I'm getting back what I deserve, and actually I deserve so much worse. But I only get one little speck of what I really deserve. So now my question to you, what quality do we have to have that approach whenever we meet some challenge, what mood do we have to have? What do we have to have? Anybody wants to suggest something? Humility, exactly. At least some little humility. Proud person will always think, oh, who am I, to be treated like this? But a humble person will say, I deserve much worse. Unless we have some little humility, very difficult to cultivate tolerance. Yeah. And then there's a second tool. Second tool is that whatever situation we are facing, we see Krishna's hand in the picture. There must be some reason why I'm facing these challenges. What is Krishna trying to teach me? Why is this happening to me right now? Right? Yeah. So, and that actually means to be Krishna conscious, that whatever situation we face, we see Krishna's hand and arrangement in the picture. Usually when things go well according to our desires for sense gratification, then no problem to see Krishna's hand in the picture. Oh yeah, Krishna's arrangement. But very often these arrangements are actually made by Maya. Maya also makes her arrangements, right? But we take it as Krishna's arrangement. But when things go tough and not according to our hopes for sense gratification, very difficult often to see Krishna's hand in the picture. I've seen people facing really challenges in their life, but they just can't connect it with Krishna being behind it at all. Yes. So then these situations are actually Krishna's arrangement, just to help us see, Krishna's hand in the picture. Yes. So now, again, my question to you, what is required to have that attitude? What do we have to have? It's maybe not so easy to get to. What do we need to have to see Krishna's hand in the picture? Huh? Mercy. What else? Exactly. You got it right. Faith. Yes. Yeah. If we have unflinching faith in Krishna, especially in Prabhupada and Guru and the process of bhakti, nothing can shake us. Absolutely nothing. Yeah. But without faith, we cannot even reflect and introspect and see Krishna's hand in the picture. Yes. And once again, I'm emphasizing this is why we need a counselor in our life. Because as we mentioned yesterday, the more prominent the false ego is, the less we can even see it. Right? So we need this well-wishing friend who helps us, who reminds us, what is Krishna trying to teach you? Why is this happening to you? Try and be humble and be happy that Krishna only gives you one drop of what you really deserve. So without this kind of well-wishing friend who has no other interest except my spiritual journey and development, very difficult to do this internal work and actually cultivate true tolerance, not just suppressing, but actually to let go of the false ego's demands And yeah, we can see if we just apply these two tools, that we have a little bit of humility, saying to ourselves, things could be worse. You know, Krishna is very kind, he only gives me one drop. And what is Krishna trying to teach me? If we have these two approaches, that quietens down the false ego's demands. We may not be able to, get there immediately overnight. It requires a little bit of internal cultivation. Yeah, but that will help us to actually develop true tolerance and not just suppressing and allowing it to build up and then explode and get sick and whatever, Yeah, so tolerance is a deep, to develop tolerance requires deep internal work and cultivation, So let us maybe also discuss some powerful steps. Let us imagine, after hearing all this, we realize, oh my God, I'm constantly defending myself. I mean, I remember once in Mayapur, I was giving the whole 12-hour course, and we spent, usually I spent, 2 hours just on this session. And we were just going into the depth of it all, that we shouldn't defend. And then afterwards, some young devotee came up with something to me after the program. And I can't even remember what it was. But immediately he defended. And I said to him, Prabhu, remember, we just talked about it. Don't defend. But he couldn't even hear me. He just continue defending. So that's how strong this defense mechanism is, that even after talking for 2 hours about it, the first thing he did, he was defending, So let us imagine, we realize, okay, I do have this defense mechanisms, especially the blaming others. This is a classic defense mechanism, which goes on in relationships, husband, wife, or between the leaders or whatever, that we always blame others and find excuses and justifying and so on. And usually we don't even notice, we don't realize, we don't identify it, because it's rather subtle. So now let us imagine we realize now, okay, yes, I am defending quite a bit. So what do? How do we actually do this internal work of getting rid of these unwanted patterns of behaviors? Like last night we were talking about Prajalpa. And yeah, we ran out of time, so I couldn't mention these steps there. But yeah, these steps work for any kind of transformational work where we want to transform unwanted patterns of behaviors into positive patterns of behaviors. Yeah, they really work. Very simple but powerful. So there's 5 steps. Step number 1 is hearing. That's why I like to discuss these things, that we hear how tolerance of how false ego affects us, how envy affects us. Tomorrow evening we have the last session on envy, how that manifests towards seniors equals juniors. It's also a bit of a heart surgery. People always share this with me. So yeah, first step is always hearing about the topic. The hearing wakes us up. The hearing makes us more conscious, more mindful, more aware of things, right? Without hearing about it, we will not even notice, we will not identify, because contaminated intelligence finds all the justifications why we are right, everybody else is wrong, Yeah. So first step is hearing. Second step is desiring. That hopefully after hearing about these things, we realize, my God, if I want to ever enter Goloka Vrindavan, I have to do some internal work. I can't enter with these kind of tendencies, false ego, envy, and so forth. So we have to have a strong desire of wanting to do something about it. That's second step. Then third step is to be introspective and honest. Always reflecting. Why am I doing this? Why am I saying this? What just took place in this exchange? Why do I have this ugly feeling now in the heart? That we reflect and introspect. And once again, we need the help of a counselor. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and without this introspection and reflection, we actually cannot make progress in bhakti. Yeah. Progress in bhakti is not an external thing. It's not a matter of, oh, I'm now second initiate, oh, I have a position in the temple, oh, I have 68,000 followers on Facebook and YouTube and whatnot. No, this is all external things. The real progress is when we actually do some internal work. Yeah. And Kali Yuga, everything focuses on externals, and we really miss the internals. Yeah, so we have to reflect, introspect, in honesty, looking in our heart, not looking into everybody else's heart, but looking into our heart. Yes. Why am I doing this? Why am I saying this? Yeah. So, and then step number 4 is we catch ourselves doing the wrong thing. That is already progress, because so many times we were doing the wrong thing, but we didn't even realize. But now we're realizing, oh, here we are again. I had to defend myself. I had to blame others. I had to justify and find excuses and so on. So we catch ourselves doing the wrong thing. So now what's the 5th step after catching ourselves doing the wrong thing? What do you think? Huh? Act. Well, yeah, we act, but in so many unwanted ways. What do we do after catching ourselves doing the wrong thing? Not to defend. Well, yeah, but what else? After catching ourselves doing the wrong thing, huh? Take guidance, yeah. What else? The real solution we haven't heard yet. Accept, forgive ourselves, and then we do it again and again and again. Sometimes people say, well, I'm just not going to do it again. Well, if it was just so easy, these things are all pretty deep-rooted. So we may make so many resolutions, I'm not going to do this again, but then 5 minutes later we do it again. So what's the solution? Planning. Well, we plan so many things. We can plan not to do it again, and still we will do it again. So, Yes, pray to Krishna, and especially to Lord Nrsingadev. We just had his appearance. Lord Nrsingadev is the expert heart surgeon with his sharp nails, you know. Yes, we can see Hiranyakashipu as the embodiment of envy, false ego, lust, and so on. You know, he is the personification of all that. So very often when we, you know, when we remember and hear these leelas, oh yeah, such interesting story, but we don't realize, hey, this is about me. You know, I have these Hiranyakashipus in my heart. Yes. And the only solution actually is to invite Lord Nrsingadev and beg him, please free me from these tendencies. Pull out these Hiranyakashipus. Because, you know, false ego, we've been carrying it along with ourselves for so many lifetimes. We, by our own strength, we actually cannot free us. No, we can't. So deep-rooted, so subtle, we don't have that power. So when the demons were attacking Vrindavan, you know, what did they do? They ran to Krishna and took shelter there and begged him to do something. So we also have to do that. And like Nrsingadev, he is preparing our heart that one day we can welcome Radha Krishna, or we can approach Radha Krishna, you know? Yes. So yeah, Lord Nrsingadev, that's the key. Yeah. And we can do this very nicely when we chant, you know. We can start our japa by approaching Lord Nrsingadev, begging him to pull out all these Hiranyakashipus. But the problem is that we are in this illusion that this false ego and envy also gives us some juicy fruits to enjoy. That's the problem. That we think, well, but it's nice to be the big person and be, you know, very important and be the center of attention and all that, you know. Yeah, so we attach to that kind of gratification. That's why we are not so seriously inviting Lord Nrsingadev, you know, to do the job. We say, all right, you can take this one, but not that one. We'll hang on to that one, you know, a little bit longer. So now if we do these last 3 steps of being introspective and honest, catching ourselves doing the wrong thing, crying out to Lord Nrsingadev, and again being introspective and honest, catching ourselves doing the wrong thing, crying out to Lord Nrsingadev, then we sooner or later come to step number 6, which is we catch ourselves doing the right thing. Yeah. Some daily situation will come our way and we realize, oh wow, this time I could just let it go by without getting agitated and angry and all this. So, few weeks before I would have reacted differently, but now I could just let it pass by, you know. So then we realize, yeah, actually it works. We can transform our false ego patterns of behaviors, but it requires constant internal work. Yeah, constantly. And that's, we can say, that's when we actually make advancement, when we agree to do this introspection and this internal work. And we stop justifying ourselves and finding all the reasons and excuses and so on, and we actually honestly reflect and look in our heart, you know. Yeah, so that's when we make advancement. You know? Yes. All right, let me see if there are any questions, since we only have 10 minutes left. any questions, comments, something that needs more explanation. Well, if there's nothing, let me quickly take these books and tell you one more time all about the books, hoping that you will not get all sick and tired of it all. So as I shared yesterday, each book is actually a 15-hour course. I have established an institute for spiritual culture, and I'm teaching courses in Mayapur, and now I've put these courses in book form, and I'm traveling madly all around the world. Actually, South America is the only place where I don't go, but everywhere else I'm going. Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa, Mauritius, Kenya, and all the little countries in Europe and US and Canada and so many places. And my main, I feel a strong urge to get these topics out, to put these books in people's hands, because how much do we remember from a lecture? If I ask you in 2 hours, you will hardly even remember anything, right? Yeah, let's be honest. So that's why books are so much more, give more substance. That was Prabhupada's motto, actually. The books are the basis. Yeah. And I feel the same, Of course, we still have to read it. Sometimes people have cupboards full of books which they never read. But I do get this feedback of people, that people say, actually, all the books I have at home, it's high, lofty philosophy or Leela after Leela. But finally, there's something practical and relevant for my daily practice in Krishna consciousness. That's really what people need. So Prabhupada's books are the basis. They are the law books for civilized humanity. But often the law books very complex, not so easy to understand how to live according to the law. So we need some complementary literature which explains us how to live according to the law. And that's what I'm trying to give. Yeah. So we have spiritual culture, Krishna's divine system. This book is all about women. We women have a very powerful energy. A woman can bring the very best out of a man, spiritually and materially, or she can ruin his life and destroy him. That's the power of a woman. Yeah. So any woman who wants to have harmonious relationships with men in her life, even at work or in the office or in the congregation or whatever, if you check out this book, you will find a few useful things in there. And also every man who wants to have the support and empowerment of a woman should also have a look at this book. Actually, these books you will find in every brahmachari ashram almost in India. Pune, Chowpatty, Hyderabad, they all have these books in the brahmachari ashram. Even this book, which is all about women. And people use them for training devotees. So in India, they caught up on it, that this is something helpful for training devotees. So then we have sheltering relationships. The full title is The Foundation of Devotee Care. So this is the whole topic of counselor, mentorship. We mentioned it a few times. In all these subtle aspects, unless we have a counselor, very difficult to really introspect and reflect and see what's happening in our heart. We need that help of a well-wishing friend who guides us, where we know he has no other interest except my spiritual growth. Then we can accept it from that person, right? Then we have the false ego, our constant companion and troublemaker. Well, we had a couple of sessions. There's so much more in it. There's a whole chapter on forgiveness and so many, so many things. And there's a whole chapter on chanting, longing to serve. That dissolves the false ego. Yeah, so many things in there. Then we have entering the Grihastha ashram. This is a handbook for matchmaking, how to see that a boy and a girl or a man and woman are compatible for marriage. You would not believe. I travel all around the world and I meet so many mismatched, unhappy couples from Indian families. Because often people in India, they just look at caste and money. And they don't look so much at all the devotional levels of compatibility. So there are so many considerations in there. And there's a whole list of over 200 topics which a man and a woman should discuss with a cool head to see, are we on the same page? Do we have similar moods and goals and visions of life? Because Krishna consciousness is a very broad spectrum. We can be on the casual and liberal side, or we can be on the strict and committed side. So that has to match, otherwise there's some frustration. And, Then we have family life as an ashram, secrets of success. How to create the culture of bhakti in our home. Not so easy. Many married devotees' home, you cannot even call it an ashram. It's something else. It's not a suitable place for bhakti. Yes, we need some education on this. We have to transform our habits and lifestyle and so on. And there's also a whole chapter on physical intimacy in marriage, how to live this principle of no illicit sex life. Also very important when people give guidance, in marriage things. If we don't know, then we can give the wrong guidance and so on. And I did a bit of research in this topic because people are at a loss. Nobody talks about it, this whole no illicit sex life, And people are at a loss, and often it creates marriage problems. So I came across interesting episodes with Prabhupada, where he says things where people are amazed. They never heard these things. Yeah. And it adds a whole different vision onto the topic, a whole different perspective. And last but not least is the Vanapasta ashram. Again, nobody talks about it, even though Bhagavatam is full of clear instructions, but yet where is it? It's not understood. People don't even aim for it. They have no clear plan and concept. What is this Vanapasta ashram? So it's like the first book out in ISKCON, even on the Vanapasta ashram. Yes, because it's such an important phase, especially when we are heading towards 50, when the kids are established in life, we should have a clear plan how to move on. And actually, once I heard Radha Swami saying on a wedding, on a Vivaha Yagya, he said, if we enter married life without a clear plan how to move out, meaning not divorce, but Vanapasta ashram, already failure. Yeah, failure already. So once we understand, after 25 years of married life is another phase. This whole family life is just one phase on the whole journey. Then also we have a very different perspective on that. Yes, and again, it's all based on the Bhagavatam, but we extract the principles of forest life and we show how we can live it anywhere, even here in Seattle. We don't have to go into the woods or something, but we extricate the principles of forest life and we can live them anywhere. And there's a whole chapter on death, meeting death with joy. Also very fascinating. The more we confront ourselves with this topic, the more we actually lose our fear. we realize it's not such a big deal. We've done it so many times already. We just forgot. Yeah, so and also how to accompany others in these final 2-3 weeks. Very important service. We have to know what to do and what not to do. So if any of you would like to get some books, these last 4 books are $20 each. The first 2 are $15 each for the whole set. Many people got the whole set already. Whole set is a little discount, $100 for the whole set. Okay, so anybody who wants some books, we will move the table maybe a little aside and you can come up and we'll work it out. Okay, thank you so much for your kind attention. So tonight on the Sunday program, we have the topic of the power of consciousness. This is also a pretty cool and interesting topic, especially also for people who come the first time, maybe, but also even for people who are regular devotees, so what is consciousness at all, And tomorrow evening we have last session on envy. Okay, thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki, Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we will move the books to the outside the temple hall. So while the Aarti is going on, so please check out these books while you are going out. As Mataji said, the purpose of these books is for us to benefit. So please stop by outside the temple hall. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Nitya Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitya Gaura Hari Bol
All glory to Samudra. All glory to Samudra. All glory to Samudra. All glory to Shri Guru.
Namaste Narasimhaya Pranadayine Hiranyakashipu Raksha Shilatankanakalae Ito Narsima Parato Narsima Yato Yato Yami Tato Narsima Bhaye Narsima Hridaye Narsima Narasim Namanim Sharanam Prapadev Avakara Kamalavare Nakam Adbhuta Shingaram Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jaya Narasimhadev, Jaya Narasimhadev, Narasimhadev, Jaya Narasimhadev. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. कृष्ण भगवान की प्राण माज की गोपीनंद अब तो माधव मोहे युबार 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 दिवस बीते रैन बीती बार बार पुकार अब तो माधव मोहे युबार अब तो माधव मोहे युबार नाव है मझधार भगवन तीर कैसे पाए नाव है मझधार भगवन तीर कैसे पाए घिरी है घन घोर बदली पार कौन लगाए अब तो माधव मोहे युबार अब तो माधव मोहे युबार दौड़ कर आए बचाने द्रौपदी की लाज द्वार तेरा छोड़ कर किस द्वार जाऊँ आज अब तो माधव मोहे युबार अब तो माधव मोहे युबार भारू प्रणाम बाके बिहारी जी. Okay. Radha Krishna, you want me to sing? We'll start with that one. Okay. Oh, will you sing Radha Krishna with me? I'm just gonna Okay. Yeah, I'll play. I'm just राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगल किशोर. राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगल किशोर. जीवने मरणे गति और नहीं मोर. जीवने मरणे गति और नहीं मोर. राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगल किशोर. राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगल किशोर. कालिंदीर कोले केली कादंबीर वारा. कालिंदीर कोले केली कादंबीर वारा. कालिंदीर कोले केली कादंबीर वारा. रतन भेदीर उपर बोश बुदई जन. रतन भेदीर उपर बोश बुदई जन. राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा युगल किशोर. राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगल किशोर. श्याम गौरी अंगे दिबो चंदनेर गौधा. श्याम गौरी अंगे दिबो चंदनेर गौधा. चमर दुलाबो कबे हेरी मुख चंद्र. चमर दुलाबो कबे हेरी मुख चंद्र. राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगल किशोर. राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा युगल किशोर. गठिया मला तीर मला देवो दोहार गले. गठिया मला तीर मला देवो दोहार गले. अधर तुलिया दिबो कर्पूर तांबूले. अधर तुलिया दिबो कर्पूर तांबूले. राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगल किशोर. राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा युगल किशोर. ललिता विशाखा यदि जातु शाखी वृंदा. ललिता विशाखा Sakhi Vrinda Lolita Vishakha Yadi Jata Sakhi Vrinda Lalita Vishakha Yadi Jata Sakhi Vrinda Agnaya Kori Bosiba Charanaravinda Agnaya Kori Bosiba Charanaravinda Radha Krishna Pranamora Jutala Kishora Radha Krishna Pranamora Yugala Kishora Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Dasiranudata Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Dasiranudasa Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Dasiranudasa Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Dasiranudasa Sevaya Vilasha Kare Narottama Dasa Seva Vilasha Kare Narottama Dasa Radha Krishna Pranamora Radha Krishna Pranamora Yugala Kishore Jivane Marane Gati Rorana Himo Jivane Marane Gati Aruna Himo Radha Krishna Pranamora I just announced that there's going to be a short Bhagavad Gita course or lecture by Prabhuji, and people who have come, they can continue it. Prabhuji said that once you finish, just announce that there'll be a short Bhagavad Gita course lecture, so people can continue sitting instead of leaving. Hare Krishna, there will be a short lecture on Bhagavad Gita by Prabhuji. So please, if you're sitting, continue to sit. Yeah, thank you.
Namaste नरसिंहाय प्रलादलाददायिने प्रलादलाददायिने हिरण्यकशिपुर्वक्षः हिरण्यकशिपुर्वक्षः शिलतनकानकालाये शिलतनकानकालाये एतो नरसिंहो परतो नरसिंह एतो नरसिंहो परतो नरसिंह यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंह यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंह बाहे नरसिंह हृदये नरसिंह बाहे नरसिंह हृदये नरसिंह नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपद्ये नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपद्ये तव करकमलवरेणकाम् अद्भुतशृङ्गार दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तानुभृङ्गा केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जयो नरसिंहदेव जयो नरसिंहदेव जयो नरसिंहदेव जयो नरसिंहदेव जयो प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल
Yeah, so so you do the
What were you doing in the Narasimha?
so then so
You did bhajani? Deta.
then pass the
Deta. I'll sing it from the beginning. I'll sing from the Tavakara. Tavakara kamalavarena adbhuta shringa dalita hiranyakasipu tanubringa केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जयो नरसिंहदेव जयो नरसिंहदेव जयो नरसिंहदेव जयो नरसिंहदेव जयो प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जयो प्रहलाद महाराज नित्य गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। So you went then Bhajani and then you did the fast.
So
You didn't do Bhajani, right?
No, no. So I did Prabhupada beat.
And Prabhupada also you're doing it very fast. Like you do.
Yeah, I did the variation. So I do. So the ones. That's the regular one. That I do.
Oh, the Bhajani variation you did.
Yeah. So that's regular.
Yeah.
So then.
And then you did the fast beat. There, tada tege jata.
Yeah. So what I do is I Prabhupada beat. So and then I do.
How do you transition? You do the ta, de, tha.
Yeah. And then
Like what did you do? What is the transition? I think de, tha. No, ta. Te, da. Te, da. Te. So te.
so yeah, Tom.
Tha. Tha, de. You did. Tha, da. Tha, de. Tha, de. I think you can pick any of those and do the transition as long as you're consistent to it.
He said to
What I remember is te, dha. Te,
Yeah.
dha.
Oh.
Is the te, dha. Te, dha. Te, dha.
I can't do that and do fast beat. It won't work.
Won't work.
No. Because you have to do for fast beat you have to start with
Te, da, da, te, da, da, te.
yeah, because then if I do it the way that you do it out and on top and then I'll
Yeah,
mess it up.
Okay. Te, da, da. Te, da, da.
You want to practice the fast beat?
Yeah.
Because that's the one that
The,
that was the hardest one ever.
the three beat.
Yeah.
The three, tinta.
Yeah.
Oh, that one I can't do that fast. Not as fast as you. If you can go a little sweaty. Yeah. Okay. That one?
For yeah. Yeah.
Te, te, yeah. That one.
Yeah.
taught you? Which song?
She's passed the first. We're in the so she's gotten all of them.
That is for what? What song?
For any song.
We're doing the
three beat. All three beat. Anything we do in Mangalarti, we can do.
Samsara dava nalalira loka tranayaka ganaganatam tapasya kalyana gunanavasya vande gurosri charanarvindam. On beat. That sound, both of should end on the same thing.
Yeah, no, I
Then
think she's
but
going
you're
very
good
fast
actually.
than me.
Yeah. Narasimha, Namaste Narasimhaya Prayadadadadayi Hiranyakasi Provacham Silatam Kanakhanai Iko Narasimha Parato Narasimha Yeto Yeto Yami Tato Narasimha
No, but it sounded good.
It's good. Keeping the beat is not easy.
Yeah. You need a lot of muscle memory.
Yeah.
I mean, strength of stamina also.
It's the stamina.
They say it's not. Yeah, stamina. Wrist, it's all wrist.
Yeah, wrist.
It's
And
not
also your
here.
hand also will hurt though.
That's how I know.
Correct, but that's only if they say if you don't know. If you don't
How to
use
play,
your-
then it will
If you
hurt.
don't
Yeah,
use this,
Yeah.
putting pressure here.
You're pressing on
then
it.
it's
Yeah, no,
same,
that makes
problem.
sense. Yeah. Yeah.
So, so that's why they teach the sa initially T. They play like this, with this one. So
It's all the wrist.
मुझे theory आता है. I get theory. I can teach you theory a lot.
Yeah.
Then practice means theoretically taka. That's it. It stops.
That's yeah. They say. Play with your wrist. Play with your thumb.
Yeah, come.
Yeah, right, yeah.
See, you use thumb instead of that. Instead of that, use
Oh,
thumb.
this one there.
Thumb. Then your hand
Oh, it's
automatically.
easier?
See, teaching
Oh,
of-
because you maybe the
but
wrist.
teaching they say use thumb only.
Maybe initially it's better to use.
Yeah, if you do that, then your hand is automatically rotating. Then you can use this
Oh,
finger.
that's what he. Bhavik also said for practice do this.
Yes.
This one thing. Maybe that's why.
That's why it's hard to play.
Then this won't hurt. You have to keep the stand like this.
My wrists are not flexible.
Oh, okay. Then
Yeah.
others will become easier.
Fix it.
Okay.
Try like this.
Okay.
Good, Mataji. You guys made progress. Lot of progress. Hare Krishna.
Same time next week, only 8 this time.
I have to get motivated. I need definitely. Please come to Maple Valley. I need once you are. Huh? Yeah, come there and then.
Next Saturday?
And we are very forgiving. Doesn't matter. We're not because we are also not great singers.
I'll come in summer, Prabhuji.
Summer.
Summer I'll come.
Yeah.
Saturdays,
Going
eh?
to end in end of May.
Oh.
Then again we will start in September.
Oh, because of
We
Vedic
get,
school?
school year, no? Break. We may do it in homes, but the way we are doing in the school, that will be ending in.
Sir, Prabhuji, is Maple Valley and Linwood close by?
No, that's not
Yeah,
south.
Oh, it's like on the other side.
1
Okay,
hour
I've
from
never
here
been.
is not Linwood. 1 hour from here,
Other side. Oh,
South.
okay, okay.
we are not south.
For some reason I thought they were close by.
No.
So this bit I can do. Beyond this, I think I just need to get that.
You just have to do it, yeah. And so,
Long time, maybe how long? Like 15, 20 minutes? You do?
no, like 5 minutes a day.
5 minutes a day. Okay.
Yeah.
I think my thing is I only practice
Yeah, at 5 minutes a day.
like I do 2 times a week. Sometimes it only becomes 1 time a week. I think that's not enough. That's
Yeah,
all.
yeah. Five, I mean, like even 2 minutes a day would help.
Yeah.
And
I
then
think that's better
the
than.
songs that get you in the, that's what helped me play
Yeah.
faster.
I think I'll do that.
Otherwise, it's gonna be hard.
Yeah. No, otherwise you get the technique, but
You can play them